Hey, good morning, everyone. And on behalf of the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual Organization Meditation Center of Connecticut, we welcome you to our weekly Saturday morning workshop. We thank you for choosing to spend your morning with us. And so we're very excited to have all of you with us, but also to introduce today's topic and facilitator. So my name is Nalisha, and I'm your Zoom host, I guess you could say. Today's workshop is on how to create your own luck, how to forge your own destiny. But it's going to be a beautiful opportunity for us to interact and learn and meditate together. And so the way that today's workshop will go is we'll have our facilitator lead us in today's discussion. And if you have any comments or questions throughout the session, you can raise your Zoom hand, your video hand, meaning coming on video, or you can use the chat box. Okay, so you have those three options. And so let me introduce our facilitator for today. Her name is Kanupriya Moore. So who I like to call Sister Kanupriya, or affectionately Kanupriya Ben. And so Sister Kanupriya is based at the Brahma Kumaris Meditation Learning and Retreat Center in the Catskill Mountains called Peace Village, which is where she and I had met. And I'd like to, I consider Sister Kanupriya to be a friend. If I could describe her, gosh, very natural in her nature. Like when you meet her, you feel like you're meeting someone very authentic and very real. Very cooperative, helpful, but also just, you can tell that the meditation, like her experience with meditation, she carries through her day. She is a professional where she works full time while also teaching meditation at Peace Village. And so she definitely has the art of balance also, I would say, as one of her strengths and qualities. And so let us, first of all, welcome all of you. If any of you want to come on video just to give us a wave, and then you can turn off your video, it's fine. And then we can get started with Sister Kanupriya. All right, it's good to see some of you. Wonderful. All right, I'm going to hand it over to you, Sister Kanupriya. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the very warm welcome, and so nice to always meet with this group from Connecticut, and I can see more and more new faces here, or boxes here, not faces yet. So Sister Nalisha is very kind and warm in her welcome, but she herself is a very talented and dedicated to meditation, and has been practicing for so long. And there's so much to learn from her own experiences. So feel free, Sister Nalisha, to just add your valuable words wherever you may. Um, so maybe I was thinking it's good to start with a little bit of meditation, just to center ourselves and focus, um, so that we can receive as much as we would like. So why don't we start with just sitting in a relaxed position wherever you are, in your chair, in your sofa. You could choose to just keep your leg and your feet on the ground, firm, flat on the ground, and or you could choose a cross-legged position as well if you're comfortable. And just bring your body into a gentle, normal, rhythmic breathing. And while we are gently breathing, we pay attention to our thoughts. And the intention here is to just withdraw our attention gently from everything that is outwards, external, and bring the attention inwards. Just being present in this moment, right here, right now. Ready to listen, to absorb with an open mind. Let no opinions, notions, beliefs come in the way. Any other thoughts, do not let them come in the way to receive. Just fully being present. Thank you. So, this was just a very simple exercise that we can do as often as we would like to. It takes just a couple of minutes to do this, like you just saw and experimented right now. We tend to do it almost every hour at the Brahman Kumaris, and it's greatly helpful because it helps to bring your focus back from outward to inwards, and that changes a lot of things. So, invitation to experiment with this little simple exercise as you may as you go through the day. So, coming to today's topic, creating your own luck, forging your own destiny. And when we think of luck, right, there is always a element of chance or an aspect of chance in that luck, as if seems like there is something external that is outside our control, or something that is outward that is really influencing our lives. And that is what is leading to either success or no success in whatever we intend to do. And because this aspect of chance or unpredictability beyond our control is there, we may tend to think that luck is beyond our control. It's just a matter of chance, and somebody gets it, somebody doesn't get it, right? So maybe we'll think about it a little bit more, and we would like to hear from you as well what your thoughts are on luck. But before that, you know, even to see what some of the philosophers and some of the great people have said about luck is quite interesting. And I have chosen two quotes which I will read. One is from Stephen Leacock, who says, "I'm a great believer in luck, and I find the harder I work, the more I have of it." So that's Stephen Leacock. And there is Robertson Davies, who said, "What we call luck is the inner man externalized. We make things happen to us." So this is quite different from what we may usually think of as being lucky, because we just feel that it's the circumstances or the people sometimes outside which are making those things lucky. And that is why there is a whole lot of superstition around luck also that exists, right? That people wear different kinds of stones and rings, and even in sports you must have seen that they'll wear a certain number on their jersey or certain color of socks or something like that to bring that lucky charm into their lives or into their game, and make them successful and win. But like we said, that is all superstition. We will see how today we can bring that luck into our own lives. But before that, uh, what do you think? Just as a precursor to our talk today, what are your thoughts on what makes us lucky or unlucky, and is it possible to bring luck to ourselves, so to say, or create our own destiny? Just if somebody wants to say it or come into sound, feel free, or just quickly type. So the two questions are, what is it that brings us luck? And is it possible to create? So Zoila says, I think it's a combination of both inner and being at the right place and time. Yes, that's good.
We have a hand raised. Patricia, yes, go ahead. You're on mute.
Yeah, I think that in some respects we create our own destiny. If we have a difficult situation, depending on how we look at it, whether in a negative way or a positive way, we can create the outcome. However, in other situations, I don't know if that's the case, because I believe that we are destined to come into this world one day and destined to leave it another, and there will be obstacles in our lives. But I think that if we ask God to help us, we'll get the strength to deal with them.
Yes, very nice. That it is possible, and to look at the same circumstance with different lenses, like Patricia is saying, right? In a positive manner or a negative manner. And if we can learn from what has happened or is happening in a positive manner, then definitely that will bring us luck also.
There's a comment.
Sometimes. Yeah.
There's a comment from Kelly and Ashley in the chat box.
Yes, so Kelly says positive thinking, but very hard for me at times, especially lately having bad health news. Yes, we can talk about that. What we cannot do about things that we feel are unlucky for us or are bringing us some kind of pain. Ashley says to stay steadfast and mindful of our goals and destiny by thinking positively. Yes, so definitely whatever is being shared here is more, there is some kind of understanding I can see in the group that that definitely we can see that we can actually influence our own luck, right? Rickett says you have to work to create your luck. If you don't go out to buy the lottery ticket, you can never win, right? So definitely there is something that we can do, and we'll understand today what spiritual wisdom is telling us about, what is it that we really need to do inside to bring that inner state of positivity, to create our luck in a positive manner. So let us look at, there are times where we feel that we are unlucky, or that something is not happening that is not really nice to us. But many times, those same circumstances, if we really look at what we call the big picture, right? And we understand over a period of time many times that that what happened, what we felt was unlucky or not so good, actually turned out in our best interest later, right? So this understanding or this knowledge, so to say, of what we call lucky or unlucky, and what's really happening within us, outside of us, that helps to broaden our perspective and to learn. And that is why when we, for example, I know someone who met with a car accident, right? And no fault of theirs, but the other person's fault, and ultimately it helped her. She was in financial debt, but the money she got out of the insurance after the car accident helped her not just come out of I mean, pay for the whatever damage, but also helped her get out of financial debt in this case. So at some point when the accident happened, she felt that, this is the most unlucky thing that could ever happen to her. But then ultimately she realized that it helped her as well. So sometimes these kind of situations, what we feel are not so good, actually, in hindsight, seem pretty good to us, because it makes us do things that we may not have done otherwise, if that situation hadn't come up. So, so if we were to look at, our universe as such, the planet that we live in and the place that we live in, we see that nature actually wants to give us the best. Nature is our friend. Everything that is external actually is meant to cooperate with us and give us the best. For example, there is ocean, there is water, and whatever garbage we are throwing into the ocean, it has a system to bring everything in balance in nature, in the ocean up to a certain time and place where we still get good water, right, from ocean. And there is fire, for example. It is meant for benefit for mankind. So in every way, nature is a friend, right? But if nature is benevolent and is a friend, is it's meant to bring us luck, it is positive, the whole universe is positive in nature, then why is this element of being unlucky coming, right? And being unlucky can be um, in many forms. So there is a form of pain. It can be physical pain. Somebody was mentioning physical health and things like that. There can be emotional sort of pain. And what we call being really unlucky is also bringing misfortune into our lives, right? So that is what we call when something really bad happens, then we feel that we are extremely unlucky. So what is it that is giving us this pain? And one aspect, definitely, we have been discussing also in your answers to the two questions that we asked at the beginning. We said that it is something that we are doing, right, that is probably bringing us, but intentionally, nobody's doing something to bring them this pain, whether physical pain, emotional pain, misfortune. There's definitely something that we probably don't know, we are not aware um, of how we are or where we are going wrong, right? And we may need to know more about those aspects. And once we know, become knowledgeable about those aspects of what brings us luck and what does not, we will take care to not do those things that do not bring us luck. So those internal factors that are influencing our luck outside is what we really need to learn about. And for example, when we took the example of fire, right? Now, fire is meant for benefit, um, but if we put our, hand into the fire, then then it will bring us some kind of pain, right? And in this case, this is physical pain, right? If you put your hand in the fire, but um, we have to also understand that this pain or this whatever signal that nature is trying to give us, with that pain, we there is a lesson behind it. And what is that lesson behind it is that uh, that correct your posture, take your hand outside of the fire, then there will be no pain, right? And then you can say that I'm so lucky that there is no pain, right? But what happens is we may be stubborn sometimes to not listen to that pain, right? Or we tend to ignore that pain, and we feel it's okay. But there may come a time where if we continue to, put our hand in the fire, uh, there may come a time where not just the hand will burn, but also it may, threaten the whole body, that putting the hand in the fire, and to a point where the body may have to die, right? So so correcting the posture, right, is a big message from pain that we need to really understand right? If we are going through some situation, that there is something that I need to do, right? In this case, physical pain, I just need to correct my posture. Same with sitting on a chair, right? Or sitting anywhere. If you are experiencing some kind of pain in the neck or the shoulders or your back, that means, you need to correct your posture, and then there is no need to go through that pain ever, right? But uh, we have to understand that message of pain, right? And it is this knowledge, right? What is the correct posture, really? That brings us luck, right? If we are leading a life which is painless, we will call ourselves lucky, right? Because um, because when we have that knowledge, then we will do everything right. That knowledge of what is right, what is wrong, what is that we need to do or not do. We see that since nature is benevolent and positive, it is, wanting to give us the best every time, all the time. It is our own block, right? Or our own inner understanding and behavior that is making us, exposed to that pain or no luck, no success, right? So, this knowledge in terms of physical pain is easy to understand, but the same law is applicable even for emotional pain or in terms of even misfortune, right? So, in physical pain, it's a physical posture that we need to correct. Like in the case of the fire, you take out your hand, or in the case of sitting, you have to just keep your back straight and correct your posture. But in terms of mental pain or emotional pain, we need to correct our posture inwards, and that posture inwards is is what spiritual wisdom is telling us, that we are beings of light, and we are these invisible points of light, which we call soul, right? And we interact with a whole lot of external factors in our life on this planet Earth. That includes, other, of course, first of all, our own body, right? That we are interacting. So this invisible point of light is the real living conscient being, who's immortal and invisible, right? Like a living conscience. And he's the one who's operating the body, right? In this case, Kanupriya's body. So that is one level of interaction, the body, right? Then there are relationships that we have, that other people we interact with. We are daughter of someone, we are employee, we are sister or neighbor or whatever else, right? So there are various relationships we are interacting with. There are other objects we are interacting with, like we live in a house, there is a car that we have, there is money that we interact with, deal with, there are hobbies, yeah. And what else? There is pizza and pasta, right? So there is food and pets, right? And nature, trees, and whatnot. So everything that we can think of today, we are interacting with externally, and who's interacting is this real living being. right? But what has happened is that in this interaction, you know, the moment we start to think of ourselves or define ourselves as not this point of light, the soul, but we start to define ourselves based on any of these external factors that we are interacting with, is where the posture, the inner posture, changes, right? It is not as per the best, the good posture. So the good posture is to be in this true identity, that I am a soul, I am a point of light, I am this living conscient being who's separate, who's interacting with the body and relationships and objects and people and possessions and pizza and pets and whatnot, right? But the moment, that's a good posture, moment we start to come into a posture that is different from this true identity, then the posture is no more the best posture. So, examples of uh, the bad posture, inner posture, are that I'm the mother, for example, or I'm the owner of this big house, or I'm the best employee, right, in my company, or I love the eagles, for example. So the moment this identity, the true identity, changes into a false identity, which is what we call ego, right? From true identity, we go into false identity. Our inner posture changes. And once the inner posture changes, the whole, external factors, nature, which was giving us the best, and cooperating with us to make us lucky, right, starts to also change. Those factors, external factors, also start to change, and there may come a time where we find ourselves going into that space of being unlucky or facing some kind of misfortune. So, just to explain this with a little bit of example, so there is a friend of mine who stays in the UK, and she was she was a average student living a normal life, and when she was in college, she was working part time to pay her fees, and just like everybody else does. And she also was living in a small apartment, and one fine day, her life suddenly changed when she got to know that her grandfather had, um, you know, left her some inheritance, huge inheritance, in fact. So she suddenly became wealthy, right? And the starting point, yeah, is that true I. But we'll see how the false identity starts to grow. In this case, that I am wealthy, right, for my friend. So the moment she got that inheritance, she invested a lot of it in the stock market, and she also bought a lot of property, real estate, and her life changed in the way that she started to wear expensive clothes, go to expensive holidays, and whatever else, luxurious life she started to lead, until a point. So the moment she was the all the time that she was doing that, leading that life, she felt she was wealthy, and her false identity, which I'm representing with these black, circles, false identity is growing, that I'm wealthy, right? And moving away from that true identity state, that I'm a rich person, instead of feeling that, or living in that awareness that I am a soul, I'm this point of light. She's feeling that I'm wealthy, I'm rich. It becomes like a bubble, right? This false identity state. And it comes to a point where if we are not reading the message from the whatever, is happening to us. So in this case, because she was feeding the false identity, more and more, right? And all this while feeling that I'm lucky, right? That I got this inheritance. Um, there came a time where, she started to lose the money she had invested in the stock markets, right? The stock market started crashing. So when that happened, it was like a message that she was getting from nature, that, that there's a false identity, mm, behind that misfortune, right? Or that pain of losing the money at that point. But if we do not, get that message, if we ignore that message, which she did because she didn't know what the message was. She felt that she had to maintain her rich lifestyle, her wealthy lifestyle, in spite of the fact that she kept losing money, all the invested money, slowly, to a point where she had to start borrowing money from different banks, right? Not just one bank. She started with one bank, but then, to maintain her life of, expensive clothes and parties and whatnot, she kept borrowing money, to a point where she had borrowed money from seven different banks. And after she had borrowed the money, she never could recover that money from the stock market's investments. um, and there came a point where the banks told her that, we'll have to declare you bankrupt, and the apartment, that which was the only asset she had left by this time, the apartment she would have to also forego, right? The banks will confiscate that apartment. And that is where she realized that there is something going on, right? That is not right. And she says in her own words that the day, 1 week before, the banks were going to come and confiscate her apartment, she just stood by the window of her apartment, and she looked out of the door, and she saw a homeless lady on the street, sleeping on a bench on the street. And she thought to herself that night that in about a week's time, I'm going to join that homeless lady on the street. And that, as if, you know, was the moment where she dropped her false identity of being wealthy. All this while, she was trying to maintain her lifestyle of being as a wealthy person. But at this point, we can say that she dropped her false identity, right? And things really changed after just this realization. Her inner positioning, her inner posture changed, right? And it worked like magic, she says, right? That within a couple of days after this realization, or this preparation, mental preparation, that she was going to be homeless, Um, she says that one by one the bank started calling her and telling her that some regulations have changed and that they'll be able to help her. They don't need to confiscate her apartment anymore, right? In fact, they were willing to do something to help her situation, right, and not declare her bankrupt. So just um, you know an example of, and it's a real life example of how this false identity, this inner posture, this false identity that had become like a bubble, when it bursts, right, is when we can say that it becomes misfortune. But then we have an option to really read the message behind any kind of pain that we are, or sorrow that we are experiencing, to see what is the false identity that is associated or that is behind that pain, right? It is 100% of the time that there is some false identity that is leading to this situation externally that we are calling unlucky or painful situation. We don't have to go through that, like we saw, right? If we are in a good posture, right, then we don't have to go through pain. And similarly for emotional, mental pain as well, right, or any unlucky situation, we don't have to go through it. We have the option of choosing the path of wisdom, of knowledge, to lead that life that is lucky always and forever, right? Not just by chance we are lucky once or twice, sometimes, right? That may be chance. But then a clever person, right, will, an intelligent person, what will he do? Once he knows the cause, what brings that unlucky, circumstance, he will make sure that that does not happen, isn't it? So there is a lot that I have spoken. Maybe we'll just take a pause to see if there are any questions, comments before we move on. Easy to, yes.
Go ahead, Patricia. You can unmute yourself.
Thank you. I just want to see if I understand you correctly. So in terms of your friend, um, are you saying that her newfound self-awareness of her perception of being wealthy changed her luck?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
So
thank you.
yeah, that is a false identity that she was feeding
Right.
and that was growing, right? So the moment we say that, it fades or it drops in a way, we don't feed that false identity more. And when we are in our best,
So when she got her ego out of the way, so to speak, she was able to gain that awareness,
that's right.
correct?
Yes. And then we see that, we have that power, that inner power to influence the external factors, which is contradictory to what, we may believe currently, right? That we feel that it's the external factors impacting us, but how can we influence? What do we need to change inside to bring out the best in the external circumstances and people? Is this true identity state that I'm a soul, I'm this noble, benevolent being of light, and who has the best of everything already? And we'll talk more about it. But that true awareness is what brings out the truth in external circumstances as well.
Right, thank you.
Anybody else has question, comments?
Anyone have any thoughts they want to share or questions or
Yeah,
maybe,
I do.
yes, go ahead, Kelly.
Sorry, I'm not on video. Yeah, I'd love to know, how do we get there? How do we get to the awareness, that we're light and heal? And how do you not have all these outside influences really affect you? I mean, it's really, I guess, non-attachment then. And it seems difficult to get to that point. My cat's crying. I guess I am on video, sorry.
Yeah, very relevant question, and I was getting to that. So very nice. Thank you, Kelly, for bringing
Thank you.
that. So how do we get there, right? And how do we not get impacted, you know? So this is actually the crux of, what is happening to us. So um, I think most of us do feel some kind of some circumstances we all have been through where we feel that we were unlucky, or we have gone through this pain, right? Some sort of pain, some kind of misfortune or sorrow. So now that we know, we are understanding that there is a solution that is in our control. In fact, that is the only thing we need to do. We know that we cannot change the government, or we cannot change the stock market in that example, or we cannot change the fire or whatever, right? We cannot change, things are beyond our control, but the only thing we can change is our own inner posture, and that is all that matters. So we know the cause and the solution, but then how do we bring that awareness, right? It is not so easy, like Kelly is saying, it seems difficult. And that is where meditation plays a big part, right? Meditation gives us an opportunity to reaffirm that awareness within us again and again, like how we saw in the first few minutes of today's session. We'll go through another meditation at the end of the session, that we are these true beings of light, living conscient beings. The more we practice this awareness for minute, 2 minutes, over a period of time, we see that it becomes slowly natural to us, right? Um, we have to accept the fact that currently our default state is in some kind of false identities. And if we really observe, we'll see that in our thoughts, we are thinking mostly, most people are thinking about and thinking repeatedly about, two or three, topics, so to say. So in my case, it may be job or a particular relationship, right? For someone else, it may be money, and some maybe about the pet, right? Something like that. Um, so whatever that default is currently, is based on some kind of false identity, right? And we saw what could be the different false identities. Some examples we saw. To break that default and bring that natural awareness of our true identity state. The good news is that we all started with that true identity state. It is over a period of time that we come into this false identity state and that becomes our default. So when the true identity is the original state that we all have experienced, we can bring it back with practice. So, meditation, which gives us some time for reflection. So, create a space, within, wherever you are staying, or even at work. It's possible in the Brahma Kumaris, in the Raj Yoga meditation. We encourage open eyed meditation for this very reason, that we are able to reflect and meditate anywhere, right? We don't have to sit in a particular posture, we don't have to close our eyes, right? Even while doing our daily mundane jobs of vacuuming and doing laundry, and when at work, when you are going to drink water is a good, time to just take a pause internally, right? While you are walking, you can do that. Take a pause internally, reflect, and bring your awareness back into that true identity state. So that is one way how to, right? Then there are many other ways like journaling you can do, right? But for all of this, like we were saying, that knowledge is required. So without knowledge of who this living being is, where does he belong, uh, what are, its characteristics and personality of this living being, of the true living being, to whom he belongs, all of those things, the knowledge is very, very important. And then you meditate on that. And then coming to the second question, so that is how we can bring that awareness back into our natural state of being. And the second is, how can we not be impacted, right? So whatever is happening, again with the help of knowledge, right, we can look at our lives in a holistic manner, in its entirety. We can say that we can look at the big picture. So when we start looking at the big picture, we start to understand the benevolence. The example I was giving before also, of a friend who, it was in financial debt, and then she met with a car accident, and that insurance helped her actually pay whatever she got in the insurance, helped her pay off her financial debts even. So what we consider unlucky, if we look at the broader perspective, we see that there is some benevolence behind it, hidden. And sometimes it does take long to understand what that benevolence is. I can give a personal example also. I was in the same company that I work for now. I was in another team a few years back, and my manager in that team was very rude all the time. Not making me feel good about anything. And so I used to feel that I'm so unlucky, right, that I'm in this team, I'm in this company, and I didn't know what to do, because I liked my job, but just the manager was like this, right? So a difficult time. But that actually made me look actively, not become so complacent. So what really happened is, that because the circumstances were so harsh at work, I started to attend a lot of trainings within the company, right? And in one of those trainings, I was attending a leadership training, and in one of those trainings, I met with someone, my current team's manager, and it's the best team that that I have ever worked with in my whole working career. So he's the best manager that I've ever worked. So it just, sometimes that pain or that, that circumstance, if you look at the big picture, it makes you do things that you may not have done otherwise, right? So see the benevolence in that, what it made you do, for benefit. um, and once you start to see that big picture, that your foundation becomes very strong. Your sight, your way of seeing things holistically, that becomes strong. So and strength gives you power, right? So you start to see the wonder of everything that is happening to you. So that again requires practice, and again meditation gives you that, perspective, also that broader perspective. um, uh, we can we can see everything in its entirety. We can see that now our life is not really uh, limited to that, the world that we just saw here, right? All the external factors. But really, we see that this living being actually belongs to a non physical world, world beyond the physical world and the external factors that we just spoke about. And when we get to know that beyond, better, and experience that beyond better, then we can see the big picture. We can see the broader perspective, and the impact of that, whatever is happening currently, seems positive, in fact, because it helps us gain that strength and strengthen that foundation of being stable in the true awareness and seeing the benevolence, wonder. So, those were some thoughts. So, maybe a quick summary before we take final questions, and then some meditation as well. So, what we see, to summarize, is that to be lucky, to create your own luck, we become when we become knowledgeable, knowledgeful, knowledgeable about our own being, who we are, where we belong, right? And how this law works within the law of karma, so to say. Once we have that knowledge of what brings luck, what doesn't, then we become careful of what to do and what not to do, right? And once we are careful, that means we are doing the right things, we are being in that right posture, right, in the true identity state, then we will become also relaxed and cheerful because good things are happening to us, right? Or even if the good things are not happening, then we are seeing the big picture, right? And we are seeing what it is that we are learning from it. And when we are cheerful, then everybody wants to be with us. Everybody wants to cooperate. Other people want to cooperate. Nature wants to cooperate. And that is what brings us success. So we become successful. And that is all that we need to be lucky, right? So, with knowledge, so the action part is that we do the right things, and in that doing, being knowledgeful, meditation is a big part, right? And so our lives become full of happiness and full of luck. So that is a summary. If there are any questions, comments, feel free to ask. Yes, Patricia?
I think that the meditation is what really helps me, because I find that when I do not meditate, I'm thinking more with my head rather than with my heart.
Yeah.
And that affects my, attitude, my decision making, etc. And of course, my identity.
Yes. That's right. We tend to analyze a lot, right? With the head, and that is not
Right,
leading anywhere. But when we are coming from the space of heart, then we are also, you know, um, willing to transform something within us, to change something within us.
right,
And that is all that we need, like we saw, that we need to change
right.
that inner positioning, and that's all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else? So, so we're kind of at that time. So, if anyone, before any final comments, before we go into our closing reflection? Okay. So,
Hey, can I make one quick comment?
oh, sure, go right ahead, Al.
I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you. And second, there's an old story about an old farmer. I'm sure everyone's heard it, but I just wanted to bring that up because it reminded me of this conversation about the farmer who his horse ran away, and his neighbors came over and said how unlucky, and he said maybe. And then the next day, the horse came back with two wild horses, and then the neighbors said, "Oh, how lucky!" And the farmer said maybe. And then the next day, his son was riding a horse. The horse threw him off his back, and his son broke his leg. And his neighbor said, "How unlucky!" And the farmer said, "Maybe." And then the next day, the government soldiers came to recruit soldiers for the army, and they wouldn't take his son because of the broken leg. So I don't know. I just I try to keep that story on on my mind whenever I do feel unlucky to. I just wanted to share that with you, and again, thank you for the class today.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for reminding us of that story. And yeah, it's just the way you look at things and you understand, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we are at that point in our session where we're going to be closing up. And so before we have our closing meditation reflection, just a reminder, so we have one more workshop for this month, and then we will take a break for the last 2 weeks in December, and then we'll be back in January with a full roster of new workshops. And so we will definitely love to see you there, but we still have one more next week. So don't forget to join us next Saturday. And we are also offering the foundation course in Raj Yoga meditation, both in person and on Zoom, in English, Hindi, and in Tamil. And so if you're interested in that, please reach out to us and we can get that started for you. And of course, if you have any suggestions for workshop topics, we're always open to new topics. So feel free to reach out and provide some suggestions. All right. So back to Sister Kanupriya, who will take us through a closing meditation reflection.
So we come into that comfortable position. We take a moment to steer our mind to that inner being. The soul. We can use the image of a point of light and we see this point of light as independent, living, conscient being, independent from the body, independent from this physical world. We travel far away in the distance to the true home of this point of light. This is the home where the point of light is in his original state. The state of perfection and fullness, where he feels lucky because he lacks nothing. He's full of all treasures. That is his true nature. He feels loved, at peace, and very safe and comfortable in this invisible world. He's aware of his own immortality. The point of light is eternal. That is the most wonderful thing. Everything is auspicious. Everyone is noble. When one is in this awareness of point of light, and in this best, highest awareness, when we come back on this planet Earth, we interact with the objects and people from this perspective, which brings the best, most lucky circumstances. We are grateful to have this awareness and this knowledge. Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Sumitya. Thank you for all of you for joining us, and we will see you next Saturday, hopefully. All right. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you.